Right, got the trailer. Let's go get the retaining wall blocks. I am dreading this. Alright, so here we are. So this is actually a golf course. And they just have a whole bunch of them backed in here as close as I could get. I need about 170 of them, I think. All right, 16 on the bed, something like 106, I think. I don't know, whatever the math works out to where this plus whatever's on the bed is 120, because he was selling them by the 60, so that works it out where it's 2 loads. I don't know if that'll be enough or not. See how far this gets. I realized I never showed you guys just how much dirt we excavated out of this hillside. So this is my pile down in the yard, and that's the tree stump. The pile goes this wide all the way to the front. But then we also have this pile up in the field, which this one is a monstrosity. I can't really set the camera anywhere where you can tell how big it is because it's really wide. But this isn't even the other side where I'm standing here, all the way around. And most of this is from the excavation project that we're working on right now. This portion right here that has the weeds growing on it is from when I cut the road in last summer. Everything this way is bucket loads that I've taken up here already out of the yard. This is the most I've sweat. Possibly ever. All the way through the brim of my hat. And the underside is like, and this is the third time I've been like this today. I got like this loading the retaining wall blocks, and then I got like this digging earlier, and then now it's like this. This is like peak. This is the worst it's been all day. It's like 95, I think. Well, I've noticed a problem as I start stacking these blocks up. My plan had been to stack the wall, then put in my drain pipe and backfill with gravel, the same way that I did with the railroad tie wall. The problem is, unlike this wall where it was just a freestanding wall that I built and then I did all the backfill, I'm building this one in front of a dirt wall that's already there. And these blocks are stepping back faster than I thought they would, and I can already see that I'm gonna lose access as it stacks up to fill in behind the wall. So because of that, I haven't purchased gravel yet because I didn't want to have a big gravel pile sitting out here on the driveway until I was ready for it. So I was sitting here thinking of some way that I could continue making progress, because I only get weekends off work, and I hate to waste the rest of today and tomorrow not doing anything. Can't go get gravel on the weekend. And I remembered my driveway. So my driveway is about to get sacrificed to the retaining wall. So I want to talk about a problem that I've been having. You guys may have been noticing as I'm pouring this. Something I can't figure out is constantly there's clogs right here, right where this little ridge is. I took the guard off because it was horrible with the guard on there. It just almost didn't work. And now it's this spot right here. It's an obstruction that hits and it builds up here, and I'm having to clear it pretty much constantly. You can't hardly walk away from this thing because it just keeps doing that. I'll show you up close. I'll go ahead and clear this out of here. It's like unless you have it way too watery, that's just happening. All right, yeah, you see how liquidy that's flowing? That's the same exact mix I just had. And now it's all watery like that. And now it's pretty good. Well, my camera overheated before I could pour those last couple of bags, so I poured them by myself. Overall review of the mud mixer after the first time use, absolutely a whole lot better than any other way I've mixed concrete. I've done the wheelbarrow method, I've done the 5-gallon bucket method, I've done the Harbor Freight mixer method. This is at least twice as fast as the Harbor Freight mixer, or really any type of mixer you got to pour the bags into. Being able to just drop them in one at a time like that and it dump it right where you need it to go itself, not having to lift it up high enough to dump it into the mixer, wait for it to mix, then transfer it into a wheelbarrow, then wheelbarrow it where you need to go, saves you a ton of time. Is it perfect? No. It definitely has more quirks than I was expecting it to. I was thinking it was going to be a more seamless, user-friendly experience, but it would be ideal if you could have two people, one person babysitting this thing and one person working the concrete. Because as you noticed in my videos, you pretty much can't walk away from it. You have got to be standing here doing the forward and reverse button and clearing clogs and loading it basically non-stop. I had to just shut it down every time I needed to work the concrete. I could barely walk away from it long enough to grab a bag from right behind me and drop it down in there with it being on. I had to make sure everything was perfect, and then usually by the time I did that, there was a clog to clear. And something about the way that it loads, or it could be the water pressure in my house, this water adjustment dial, there's no just setting it and walking away. You're adjusting this water pressure non-stop, because 1 second it's coming out completely dry, and then it's just straight water pouring out 30 seconds later. I would imagine it's probably due to the design of this just gravity feed chute. But I definitely was getting better the longer that I went. The quality of the concrete looks better the farther that I got, and I was having to mess with it less the farther along that I got. So take my criticisms with a grain of salt. It was my first time using it, so that was just my first time experience. Who knows what it'll be like once I've used it for several dozen hours. None of that is to knock it at all. It's still definitely worth it. So much better than any other way that I've done it. No way I could have poured that much concrete in that amount of time by myself. So all in all, that was 42 bags. Today was a much bigger pour than Friday, but somehow that worked out perfectly just right. I didn't need another bag, and that was my last bag that I poured right there. That was just lucky because they sell them in pallets of 42, and I just bought a full pallet, and I kind of can't believe that it worked out that way. So you can see here, you probably noticed we got a step up here, had a slight elevation change throughout the length of this ditch, and rather than getting back in here and doing a whole bunch of dirt work, my depth was still good to just step it up right here. So I stepped it up here, gave me a thicker pour all through until you get to about right here, and then it tapers back down to my 6-ish inches that I was shooting for. So I'll give this a few days to cure, especially since it's so thick. Before I continue on, I can start stacking blocks on here throughout the week, filling it with gravel. I need to get a dump truck of gravel delivered so that I can be backfilling it the way that I did that portion yesterday. I just did it this way so I didn't have to do the math on figuring out exactly where I needed to stop this footer and do the step up. If I had the blocks stacked up, it was easy to see, easy to make that transition and get this correct to where I can just set another block right on top of it, seamlessly move into the stepped up portion. So I'm filling every core, like you saw, filling every core that doesn't have rebar in it with gravel, and then all the rest of those, once I'm backfilled, I'll get the mud mixer up on top and I'll pour down in all the ones with rebar. I have done, since last summer when I first started researching the retaining wall up front, I've done so much research on retaining walls, and a commenter on a video I was watching the other day summed it up very well. But there was a video, a YouTube short I was watching of a landscaper reviewing a retaining wall on a customer's project that he didn't do, and that's not even what he was there for. He was there doing something else, and he walked over and he was like, this retaining wall is gonna fail in 2 years, I guarantee you. And it looked perfectly fine. And someone in the comments said I've watched hundreds of videos on retaining walls just like me, and I have never once seen one that either the person posting believes is going to last, or if the person posting it believes it's going to last, no one in the comments believes it's going to last. And that's very true. Anytime you see someone building a wall, everyone in the comments says they're doing it wrong. And every time you see someone reviewing a wall that's already built, usually the person reviewing the wall is talking about how it's going to fail even though it looks perfectly fine. So any type of work is always controversial to post online, but it seems like retaining walls are particularly prone to being criticized. I'm doing the best that I can. I did a ton of research on it. Obviously it can be better. I think it was the Practical Engineering YouTube channel that said that an engineer's job is to mix strength with practicality and find that balance. Because you can have an unlimited budget and an unlimited amount of time, and you can you can just keep making a wall stronger and stronger and better. But is better always necessary? So that's the balance. So that's just the thought I'm trying to keep in mind, and not just continue to dive deeper into the more expensive and more time-consuming portion of the wall. I feel like this is a sufficient product, and if it's not, I'll address it in the future. You don't see many retaining walls where someone goes to the trouble of pouring a concrete foundation, so I'm just saying that. Anyway, this was a hot and heavy weekend. I'm ready to clean up all my bags, and I've still got to mow, grocery shop, meal prep, clean the house, and everything. And I really would like to get this video edited too. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for your support and your comments. Thanks for watching.